Hello guys, it's Nursey from the ESA Invite team, Ascent Esports. I am here to give you a general guide for Medic on the map CP Badlands. Fun fact about Badlands, this and Granary are the only two maps still played from when the game originally released. Every other map has eventually been added or have pro versions of them to fix up some slight issues. Even Badlands has a pro version that is sometimes played in pickup games. A giant flaw some older maps have, unfortunately, is that they have no ammunition. They're really barren. They are also a giant hassle to push through. Fortunately for Medic, you don't really need to worry about ammo, but this map is going to require a lot of appropriate time baiting. I will teach you how to ideally handle most situations on this map, and first thing we'll start with are the mid fights, which is arguably the hardest thing about Medic on this map. Alright, here we are on the midpoint for CP Badlands. Now, quickly going to cover this now. I am not going to be covering rolling out through a house. I will be covering rolling out through the side house area, also known as shit house, and the slope. These are two common areas that the teams I have played on rolled out through, but none of them have ever rolled out through a house. It's kind of dated now, and not a lot of teams go through here. So if your team does still go through a house, unfortunately, my guide on the mid fight won't really help you out much. So I apologize, but now I'm going to quickly go into the mid fight here. I'm going to start off with slope as it's the most common one. Now there are pretty much, There's pretty much only one thing that happens when you go through slope. As you're going up through slope, one thing you want to quickly do is look up, make sure there's no stickies being thrown on the ground here. As you have your medi beam out and you're walking up. It should be really quick to analyze. By the time you're here and there's no stickies, there's probably not going to be a row of stickies to kill you by the time you're looking at the top of the slope. So it's quickly, but you should quickly be able to analyze if there's no stickies here or not. You only want to do that just so you can know the slope. And there's a lot of demomen, or there's a handful of demomen that like the sticky slope and help prevent you from rolling up. It's pretty useless for a demoman to do that, so be sure to call them their stickies on the slope. I think a soldier or a scout can easily grow those stickies in not even a second. So keep that in mind as you're going up through slope. And now when you're going up through slope, I would recommend trying to keep your crosshair open like this. You see how I crosshair are looking slowly up, I can still look in the lower area. One thing I see a lot of newbie mechs do on accident is that they'll walk up slope like this. And the reason why this isn't a very good thing to do here is because you can't really see the lower area as you're rolling out. And a lot of things can run through lower to easily run at your medic and just two-shot you. So as you're walking up through the slope, try to keep up like this, because when you do it like this, you'll be able to see people bombing in on you from across the midpoint, and you'll be able to see something trying to run at you through lower. This makes, having your camera positioned like this makes going up to mid a lot easier, and some scouts like to play on this hoodoo, so you get to heal people a lot more conveniently too, instead of just running up like this and a click tap. I don't know, they give me a click tap, you're probably not even seeing them. So I just recommend keeping your camera like this as you're walking up to the slope. And then when you get to the top of the slope, here's another thing how fights will happen. A big mistake here, I think, is that some mechs will automatically go into the house. Now, going inside of house isn't a bad idea if you did manage to take a sticky or two as you're walking up slope. Going in the house with a health pack is a good idea. Just be sure you call you're inside of the house, because if you're inside of the house without any support, a soldier can easily bomb you inside the house from either there or on top of in front of the doorway here, and then it's so easy to get two rocket in this house that. Well, it kind of really sucks. You kind of want to make sure you tell your team you're playing a house, because if your team knows you're playing house, they're probably not going to get aggressive because, well, they have no heals to be pushing forward with. Now, if you don't manage to get hurt, I think another big mistake some medics will make is they'll try to linger in front of the point too long. Now, I think being aggressive on CP Badlands for the mid fight is actually really important as medic. That can help a lot with your team. But the problem with doing it too early, like here for example, is that if somebody bombs from your own shit house or from the ground here, and you're caught right here, again, it's really easy to get too rocketed. You can't really see them coming for you because of these crates, also known as train, in front of you. It's just really hard to see them coming. So I just recommend not playing back here. But what I usually do when I get to mid is that I play here. I jump on top of here, this little area here, as long as it's not getting sticky. This area does get sticky pretty common, so if you see stickies coming at your way, just fall a little bit back. Try not to hug this wall, try to play around here. Try to make sure you're also healing somebody. Try to play closer to your scout. You'll usually have a scout for you on the train or a soldier, or most likely both. You want to be sure that you can heal them. If your demo man managed to walk out through here, be sure you put priorities in healing your demo man. But unfortunately, most demo men can't really get healed immediately on this fight unless they do play here. So just be careful of that. So don't go out of your way to go heal your demo man, by the way, if he's on patio. You can quickly tap him as you're walking up slope if you like. But other than that, you don't want to go in the house to start healing your demo man. This is a type of mid fight where your Delman doesn't really need the priority heals because he's not really a common focus, and it's really on your scouts to make sure your Delman stays alive. But anyhow, yeah, usually playing back here is pretty safe, but you don't want to play here too long. A big mistake is if you play here for too long. Like the moment you see that the soldiers aren't bombing in, you can start walking across with your team. Just make sure you're moving at the pace of your team here when you're playing around this crate area. This applies to whether your team's trying to play an aggressive mid or a slow-paced mid. And again, this area is pretty good just because it's really hard to get bombed here. And if you do get bombed, let's just say someone waddles in through the shit house here, or someone jumps up and you're here, you can easily back away and just surf the rocket or avoid the rocket altogether while your people on the train will have enough time to shoot them. And after that soldier is denied, I'll give you time to walk forward. Now, one thing you want to be careful about walking forward here is that in case something is still lower, so the moment you try to get on top of the midpoint here as your team is pushing forward, you want to try to walk away from the slope just to make sure something's behind. Don't be afraid to look behind you. When you're looking forward there, what is it? Also, looking forward is pretty important. Just make sure nothing's running into your house. You want to be sure you pay attention to where the enemy team runs away from as when you're pushing across the midpoint. Because the enemy team backs up into that house, your team should be looking at house. While it's important for you to be looking at the valley in case a soldier is in valley. Don't forget to check behind your shit house in case somebody was there earlier, but they don't think they had enough time to escape or something of the like. Or you can also look through shit house or behind you again. Just make sure nothing runs up behind you. One thing the medic has a benefit of that I didn't talk about the last time I've done this map is that the medic has a benefit of looking around a lot to make sure nothing's trying to flank them. And this is really useful because there's a lot of places to hide on Badlands, but your team's also really focused on trying to spam them out from not coming back into the midpoint. So it's important for you to try to look behind and just make sure nothing's trying to flank you. You don't have to be looking forward to heal your teammates. Remember, you have a medi beam. That thing has an extension, and it's really useful when you're pushing forward. Now that's how I handle a mid-fight when I'm going up the slope. Another way to handle a mid-fight is when your team tries to roll out the right side, which is known as the shithouse rollout. By the way, I don't know why it's called shithouse, but that's what I'm used to. So if that name sounds funny to you, well, don't laugh at me. Anyway, when we're all shithouse, this one can be pretty confusing and dangerous for a medic because you sometimes notice if you immediately go through shithouse, you immediately die to a soldier on their own train, or stickies are going to dead on you. One thing I like to do when I roll shithouse is that, again, I will be baiting right here. I'll wait right here. I'll be tanking a scout, waiting to see what's happening. If I see a soldier bomb and they do an arc like this, to the sky like this to catch me out so I'm not allowed to back up through my own valley, that's when I'll commit through shithouse to somebody. And if they're stickies, I'll play inside the shithouse right here, and if I get hit by a splash rocket right here, that's when I'll come into the shithouse. And whether stickies or not, well, I'm pretty much dead if I just wait for the soldier to walk at me, so I rather risk there being a sticky trap than guaranteed die to a soldier. But anyway, you'll come on top of the train, you'll start healing your scout. And you're going to be playing pretty passive here again. You'll get aggressive when your team is ready to get aggressive, mostly your soldiers. But remember, you're mostly going to be playing around the speed of your scout or whoever you're tanking on the train here. If you see them going forward, you're going to want to go forward with the person you're healing as they're running to the enemy team who's most likely on your own side. And if the enemy team manages to not do the counter route or they route that way, we'll just say they're on their side. Just play here and just bait pretty hard. Don't be afraid to fall on the ground so you can actually tank people without going through shithouse. If you're really afraid of going through there, then staying on the ground here and healing people for a couple seconds is not a bad idea, as I myself am pretty afraid to go through shithouse because it's pretty common place to get stickied. But yeah, that's how I handle the shithouse. The only bad thing about it is if your team does mess with mid-fight, you're going to have to be really quick to recognize to leave the mid if a bad push starts happening. So say for example you're 2 down but they still have 6 up. It's really hard to escape this situation, but if you're already down player ad before they have the time to get ready, that's when you want to fall down and try to start leaving your own valley, because once you lose one player on this side of mid, what is it? As long as they're not ready, or as long as they're not in your house, or you don't see anyone hiding in valley, I would recommend just leaving the moment you lose a single player when you're running out the right side, just because it's so easy to get caught out after you lose any more, and it gives them time to prep to catch you out. If they are in your valley, in your house, and you're down a player, the best thing you can do is just stay with your team and commit as hard as you can, because you're already beyond dead at that point, so might as well dish out as much heals as you can to try to see if you can turn the tides in your favor with your team. But yeah, that's about how I play both the shithouse rollout and the slope rollout for Meg on this mid. So next thing I'll try talking about is the common places we hold on mids, and how to push out, and how to, yeah, pretty much how to push out, and how to retreat. So basically everything else on mid. Okay, so here we are for about everything else. I want to talk about the midpoint of CP Badlands. And the first thing I want to talk about is where teams commonly hold when it's about an even Uber situation. Now, usually you'll see your Delman as soldier, and you have a scout on the train, and you have your flank players playing around this house or the hoodoo or patio area. Well, we're going to be talking about you, the medic, and where you, the medic, will be holding is you'll be holding around on top of the enemy train. Usually be on top of the enemy train when it's an even Uber situation. And it's pretty simple for medic. You really want to be around this train at all times. Falling down to the ground, like falling down to the side here isn't really detrimental, or even walking into a slope. Nothing really bad happens from you doing that, so don't worry too much if that happens. Don't even worry at all, really. But when you're on top of the enemy train, this is a good place to be because it's really hard to get counter-sacked on for in case when your team does do a sack. Be sure to tank your demo when he's walking forward, but try not to walk too far forward to tank your demo man. I've had times where I dropped because I got a little too eager to heal my own demo man. My demo man's like, "Ooh, throw stickies past the choke," and then I walk behind him like a fucking idiot. And then 2 stickies there, I'm not paying attention, dropped Uber. I highly doubt you'll make the same stupid mistake as I've done, like in a situation like that, but I'm just letting you know, getting to your demo man will almost guarantee that you'll take some form of damage, because it's really easy to take splash damage from almost all the explosive classes in the game when you're next to the choke point. I recommend not walking past the staircase. It's about as far as you're willing to go to heal somebody. It doesn't matter how far the peek can choke. But yeah, so when your team does do a sack, what you'll want to do is that you're not really going to be looking choke. It's on your dome and soldier be walking choke. As they're spamming choke, make sure that they're going to be calming someone bombs into choke, because what you're going to be doing is that you're going to be looking at the house or the bottom valley area there. Just to make sure, just to see if anyone's running through, because when teams do countersacks, sometimes they'll have a soldier or a scout run through the house area here, or they'll have somebody try to run through valley and sneak their way underneath the slope. Make sure you're looking this way, because for some reason why I almost never see my own flank players ever watch this area, so I always just watch it myself, just to make sure nothing's running under. Usually your team should be calming that someone's bombing through choke. When that happens, when someone bombs through choke, give up looking that way. Just fall off the train and just keep trying to juke them. Just do your best jukes. Try your best just to avoid them. Falling off the train is my ideal way. Now, if you're at an Uber dis ad, try not to play past your own train. You want to be playing around here. Ideally, you would want to leave your own choke. And the reason why I would say leaving your own choke is better than with just say leaving your own valley or house. Because if you try to leave your valley, someone could easily have snuck through under. As you're leaving house, a scout's just right there in front of your face, and your teammates are standing right here. And while you think it should be easy for them to turn around, if they're busy trying to spam to make sure that they pop Uber, and you're leaving this way, that scout's just going to run in and just shoot you. And your team's almost never going to react fast enough to kill the person chasing you into your own house. Which really sucks, trust me. That's happened to me more than one occasion. So that's the reason why I ideally prefer to leave. Choke there. Sorry for the redundant sentence there. Leaving through your own valley is also not very good. The only time it's a good idea to leave your own valleys is if your team really messes up holding the choke point area or the midpoint area, and you're trying to leave to the spot forward, or just trying to leave as soon as you can. That's when you want to be leaving through valley. You just leave ASAP because something bad happened on mid. That's the only reason why you're ever leaving valley, because if you leave through valley immediately, you're never going to be able to heal anybody. So you're going to want to be playing towards here, because again, you can heal people trying to spam compared if you're trying to leave valley. Nothing through unders are going to be able to run through under and kill you. I mean, they still can, but it's a lot easier for your teammates to actually have time to react if you're able to juke this way or back towards your choke than it is for them to go inside a house and then have the scout inside a house with you already, for example, ready to shoot you. It just makes it easier for your team if you try to leave choke and you guys are trying to spam to force them. Remember though, if the situation is really bad, leaving through valley is not a bad idea, but only leave through valley if, for example, you're holding here and something really bad happened, like you suddenly drop 3 players or something, then yeah, then you want to try to leave valley. Then that's a good time to leave valley. And that's holding in leaving mid. Next thing I'll talk about is pushing mid. Now pushing mid is actually pretty hard. This is where the baiting thing comes in that I mentioned earlier in the introduction. Baiting here, let's say you're pushing with Uber ad or player ad here. What do you want we want to worry about is always a soldier bomb. What I do here when I try to push through Badlands choke is that I'll be tanking my soldier or my demo man. Whoever I think is going to bomb first, that's the person I tank. And then I play really passively on this staircase though. The reason why you don't want to play here, because if a soldier does bomb you, even though this looks like it's a pretty big bait, like on most maps staying this far back behind a choke point's fine, because usually you can easily surf or you have enough time to run away. If a soldier bombs through patio and you're caught out right here, it is so easy for that soldier to still kill you. That's why I recommend being here, because a soldier's patio, when it's called, you can usually just stand here, he'll bomb in, realize you're too far back, and then most of the time he's just going to die without being able to get a chance to shoot you. But the one problem with doing that is that I also recommend looking behind you, because if something does come through house, you're going to want to walk forward towards your team while screaming, ah, there's something on me, and choke. That is how I ideally push through this choke point area. I bait on top of the staircase, wait for them to calm everything, and that's when I walk forward. I also try my best to be sure to pay attention behind me. You can't always be paying attention behind you. Sometimes they're going to forget, or maybe something's going to, I don't know, keep your eyes off of looking behind you. But I would really recommend trying to look behind you as you're pushing through choke to make sure nothing tries to catches you out from behind. Sorry for the mumble sentence. Again, speaking isn't my strongest thing, but I'm trying my best to improve. Next is pushing through, this is called Haunter in Europe. This area is called Haunter. In America it's called Patio. I know I've been calling this area here Patio, but this is the place commonly called Patio. But I'm going to call this Haunter because both NA and EU know what Haunter is. So yeah, going through Haunter is pretty much the same thing going through choke. You're going to want to bait in your house here, but the thing that sucks here is that if you're trying to go through Haunter, you would want to run with your team as soon as you can. You don't want to spend time here constantly baiting. You pretty much want to make sure your soldier calls, there's no stickies. When you hear that, run forward as fast as you can with your soldier. Don't run in front of your soldier, mind you. But try to stay behind him and start moving forward. Because the reason why you want to do that is because if you spend too much time hanging out around here, someone can easily run through diag and get an easy force on you, and bam, a really bad Uber exchange in your favor is going to happen. You don't want that to happen. So when you're doing a patio push, you want to stay up here. Your soldier says there's no stickies, run. Fucking start gunning it and get to your pocket soldier. The reason why I say stay up here is because if you see somebody walking in, you can immediately back away. It's better to let your soldier just die there than to do a really shitty Uber exchange, honestly. That's how I look at it. Now if you're pushing through diag is pretty simple for a medic. When you come through diag, you just simply walk forward here. You don't have to tank anyone. Usually you're tanking your soldier here, and your demo man should be here too. You just want to stay on top of this bridge. If a soldier is spamming you from the forward, or if there's a soldier inside the forward, or there's a soldier inside of the drop down, then all you simply have to do is just fall off here, play around these corners. It's really, really hard for you to get spammed here. You keep tanking whoever you want, and just slowly walk forward with your team, and chase with your team. Let's just say, for example, the enemy team is right there. They'll tank your pocket soldier and your scout or whoever you're with, and just start waterling at the enemy team. And you're almost guaranteed you're going to get a pick this way if you do a push like that, or you're going to get a really good Uber exchange in your favor if you can manage to walk up this far without having to pop your own Uber. I think that pretty much covers all the ways to push. Yeah, I think we're good. I'll talk about how fully pushing the second works as we discuss the second point, which would be up next. Hello and welcome to the second point of CP Badlands, also known as the Badlands Spire. Very popular MG arena, very hard to push area from last and into from mid. I'm going to go into a little more detail about pushing into the second point from the mid area to this choke point here, because this area is pretty tricky. By more detail, I'm also going to talk about what to do when there's a sniper sightline, or what you should be doing in general. If there is a sniper on the bats area, the best you can do is hope your soldier will bomb, or wait for the sniper to take his shot. Even then, it's still kind of hard. Like, when your soldier bombs, then it's way easier. If your soldier's not bombing and waiting for the shot, that's when it's much harder. The best I can recommend is that when your soldier is bombing, you immediately try to run over here and get here. It also depends where the sniper is. If the sniper is on that left bats area here, yeah, he's gonna take a shot and he's gonna have a chance for another shot if you're really being optimal for running towards the spire. If he's there though, it should be really easy for a soldier or anyone to really spam him out from wanting to hold there. If there's a sniper on the right bats, if you wait for him to shoot one time, you can usually rotate to here. As long as you hear that one sniper bullet shoot, you should have enough time to rotate. And so side spire here, fall down to here, and he won't have a sight line on you anymore. And then while you're pushing into Badlands Spire, it's very important that by default you start climbing the spire if there's no more enemy gamers shooting at the spire. It should be way easier to climb it, and it should be a priority to climb it, because most areas trying to get into the lobby area near last, most entrances that way are going to be through the bats, through this right here, or the area and you drop down all the way over there. So most of the time what you're going to be doing is that you want to climb spire immediately whenever you're pushing second. But be careful as you're climbing spire, because some teams will be committed to spamming bats, and when that happens, don't really commit to climbing spire yet. Just wait for them to stop spamming and wait for them to get spammed out themselves, as they can't really spam the people or counter spam the people well enough there on top of the spire, shooting at them into bats. It also really helps having a scout to help you climb spire. Having a scout to heal that's capping the point makes climb up spire immensely faster. It makes it way easier. The only time you should be going through trash or through gray is if the Devilman is dead, or if you think you have enough momentum that they don't have enough time to step in lobby, then going through trash, which is the area over here, or through gray bridge, which is, you know, the bridge to the shutter, then going through those areas is absolutely fine. But majority of the time you almost always want to climb spire unless your team tells you otherwise. Yeah, that's about it for coming through choke that I wanted to cover. Now I'm going to talk about holding the second point. When you're holding the second point here, normally in your stalemate situations you're mostly playing around here, around this whole ramp area here. You have a soldier inside of the house, you have a scout on the Pride Rock here, and you have your Devilman watching choke. A majority of the time you're actually going to be buffing your pocket and your Devilman. The scout here almost really needs no heals ever. He's just there to deny a bomber when they come in through choke. You're mostly going to be taking your Devilman and soldier, as I mentioned. Your soldier is occasionally going to want 300 HP and spam through the spam into house here. And your Devilman is just going to tank because, well, he's a Devilman, he's in choke, he wants to get some damage out there, so that's why you're occasionally going to be tanking your Devilman. If your pocket ever asks for heals in the house, don't be afraid to come up to get to him. And one thing that's important to remember on second is this little jump here. This actually shaves off a lot of time when coming to house, because I think it cuts off about almost 2 seconds, because if you're here, then you gotta go through this whole process. And a lot of people don't know about this little jump. I think it's a lot more common knowledge these days, but I did not know that jump existed until this year. I don't know how I lived without that little jump. It's really easy. It's just a jump and a crouch. But yeah, it says 2 seconds. You always gotta remember that way if your pocket's asking for Uber or to tank heals. If you know a sack's coming in, you can usually just back off. I wouldn't recommend backing off inside of here, just because you can get hit from rockets from everywhere inside of here. I've been backing off towards the bridge here, and this area is like the best area to surf a rocket from in the game. You have so many places to land, so much room to work with when you're air strafing. Surfing a rocket here is really easy, so staying around here is also really easy. Plus you have your pocket and your scout here, so the denier probably won't get the bomber should only get a few rockets off. By that I mean like most likely one before they get mulched down by your pocket and scout, and they'll have a hard time coming through choke anyway. One thing you want to keep in mind at all times is that paying attention to the comms that your flank are saying. The comms that your flank are saying are really important, because they say, oh, something's coming diag, then you want to turn around and watch for that. They'll call something's committed, but just keep it in mind. Also pay attention to where your pocket is. If you see your pocket not watching the patio here, then it's important for you to look at it and play it over around here, just to make sure something's not running through patio. Always keep that in mind, because something sacking through patio is actually a really strong area for them to sack on to get a free force on you. It's extremely easy to get forced here. Now that's pretty much covers holding it in an even maneuver situation. If you have disadvantage, generally you're going to be running away through Gray Bridge. But there are times you can't run away through Gray Bridge, and one thing I recommend is that if they're pushing diag and your flank is dead, but you really want to leave, then the easiest way to leave is to go around side spire and then rotate to trash shutter. Because if you rotate to Gray Bridge and they're already on diag, it is so easy to get chased through there. So it's a lot easier just to rotate the trash and go through the trash shutter than it is to go through Gray Bridge and immediately meet the enemy team in front of your face. Trash is your best bet, with hopefully all of your teammates to spam them from wanting to come in at you on Gray Bridge. That's what I do during Uber Decide. That's really the only area you can leave. You can't leave gray if they're not pushing in through diag. If you see them pushing in through choke, then leave through gray. But don't linger around too long on gray. If you stay on gray for too long, then you're going to end up getting spammed too hard. Oh, not spammed. You're going to get caught out eventually through the diag area. This little flank area here, they're just going to come running right at you if you stay here too long. So if you're going to leave through gray, make sure you do it immediately. It's okay to rotate trash if you're combo, if they really want to keep spamming Spire. But when that happens, make sure you're paying attention to the Gray Bird Shredder while you're healing the trash, just to make sure nothing runs at you. And they do run at you, run towards your combo, not towards the health pack. Because if you run towards the health pack and your combo's in trash, you're going to be by yourself. Hey, you'll have like 20 more hit points, but you're right in a 1v1 situation as Meg, and you never want to be in a situation like that, especially in that area. You just get mulched. But yeah, that's how I usually back up from the second point. And I mentioned I'm pushing 2 chokes, so what am I covering next? Sorry about that, I just remembered what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about pushing into lobby. When you're pushing the lobby, it's really simple. As I said, most of the time you want to do this from Spire. But in case I'm going to do Gray Bridge first because it happened to be close by to it. When you're on Gray Bridge, just make sure you're playing kind of slow here. Play around your pocket. Remember, you don't have to bait too hard when you're coming through Gray Bridge. There's not a lot they can really hide. Just make sure there's no stickies. Calm to make sure your pocket's watching for stickies. Demomen typically can sticky this whole main area here, the enemy Demomen. So be sure to watch out for that. And generally, you're not gonna You're not gonna be Ubering straight through main here unless you have Uber ad. So if you're only pushing because of player ad, I recommend trying to get to the staircase ASAP. But try not to hug a wall. If you hug a wall like this, you can hit by a sight line from a sniper hiding in spawn. And the same can be true when you're going to the left here up the staircase. Just make sure you're not hugging a wall and you're watching for a sniper. You can easily see the red dot or a dot in general on the staircase here. Just watch out for that. Make sure there's no sniper, and then you can easily go up the stairs here to get into upper main. That's how a lot of teams like to push through there. When you're going through trash, it's pretty much the same concept, except you have this staircase right here to immediately get into upper lobby, so that's pretty convenient. Just remember that. Yeah, pretty much the same thing through trash. Now we're talking about going in through Spire. Spire, again, is really simple. Except you have 2 areas to go to. You have the top right bats, and you have the drop down. Drop down, I think, is the most optimal because you have to deal the least amount of spam there. This top right bats suck because their pocket's going to be tanked, and their Devilman is generally closer to this area. So if you try to go to the top right bats, you guys are either going for an exchange, or they're just not there in general. So generally, you want to go into drop down. And you want to go drop down both your soldiers just so you can boil them out of lobby much easier. So you want to go through drop down both your soldiers. Make sure you don't have to pop here. Make sure there's stickies. And then again, you're going to be in the upper lobby area. And I think that pretty much covers it. How to get into lobby when you're pushing a second. Alright, now I'm going to be talking about holding last and pushing out of last. Alright, now we're on the last point of CB Badlands. The first thing we're actually going to be talking about is pushing into last when you have upper lobby and you have Uber ad or almost any situation. First thing I want to talk about is that you almost always want to pop before you enter this doorway because typically there's going to be stickies above one of these arcs in the doorway. So just stay back here. You don't have to be right next to your pocket when he says use. Pop it, run straight through. You should pop it if he's saying he's taking exchange and loses low health. Either or, it doesn't matter. But pop it before you enter a doorway. The same applies for when you're going the opposite direction. Yeah, just don't pop it when you enter the doorway. Just as I said, the sticky, it's really easy to drop in this doorway. So it's better just to stay back, take your pocket, pop it on him. And be sure to calm if you get separated from your pocket because the downside of staying that far back from your pocket once the Uber is that he's going to get separated from you easily, especially when he gets like air blast or knocked around. So you gotta calm, hey, I'm not with you, so he knows not to like just constantly hold down W with the Uber, so he knows to wait a second and get every Uber. So be sure to calm that when that happens. And when you're playing the left side here, try not to commit too hard. Like, don't commit this far with your Uber, because the thing that sucks about that is that when that happens and something happens to me on the ground, you're going to cut out super easily. So what I like to do with my Uber is that I commit to the top left about this far on my pocket, and then when if I see the Uber's going well, then I commit more far forward. If I see the Uber is not doing too hot, like it's not awful, but we're not really accomplishing anything, then I get in a position to leave, which is back this way. So if I see a soldier jump up, immediately leave. Try not to surf or try not to get knocked up too much, as it's really easy to get caught on the archways here. When you're doing it through lower main, trying to commit is a little bit harder because you're popping your pocket, you're staying here. Towards the end of your Uber, during this Uber, it's okay to leave unless it's going really well, like your pocket gets like around 2 kills. Unless it's going really well, then you don't really want to commit through this lower main area here. Then I just recommend walking away, going back upper main, start healing people in the up top area. Yeah, it's pretty important for the med to commit on a Badlands last push, because the heals there are important, and it's really, I don't know, it's apparently like really hard for people to die when you have this up top area, especially this upper right. So taking people in the upper right area after you're out of the upper left or out of lower main is actually pretty useful, I think. Again, it also depends on your team. Some teams will not prefer if you play in the top right area, so be sure you communicate that with your team that you're going up right and see if they want it or not. Hopefully they'll communicate back to you where they want you to go or who you should be tanking. Another way you should push is through this lower right area here. I don't really know the name for this area, so I apologize. But through lower right, most of the time you're actually going to be walking up the staircase. So there's sometimes also stickies here, so make sure there's no stickies. Running up right, you really don't want to bait in this doorway, because if your pocket can come into this area without getting damaged, you're going to immediately run in, and your pocket's going to run up here, and you guys are going to start taking a fight up here. How the exchange goes, really, I can't depict that scenario for you, but the best I can say is that you want to be ready to leave through the doorway in case it's going bad. So you want to pop Uber and tank it through up here and hope it goes well. If it is going well, stay in the top right, tank your pocket if he's the one being focused, or take Uber's top right if you can no longer heal your pocket. That's about all the pushes I can think of for Badlands. So next we're going to talk about holding in an even Uber situation. When you're holding Badlands in an Uber situation, there's not really much you're going to be doing. There's only really one place you hold, which is this area here. If they have a sniper, you're going to end up falling down to here, which is fine, but if you do fall down to here, please watch out for a soldier. If you're worried about a soldier stack, get ready to go down this little doorway here. Don't go too far to the left, as if they do have a sniper and the soldier stacking, you're going to get bias shot. You're just going to stay underneath here, hopefully the soldier will get taken out before he can land on you, because for a soldier to stack on you there, he has to go in through main and jump up top and try to get on top of you. If a soldier comes in through main itself and knows you're going to be here, don't be afraid to go back on the stairs, and he should almost always instantly die for doing that anyway. If they don't have a sniper playing up here and taking your pocket, or he's on the ground or he's up here, either way is pretty useful. Just make sure your pocket's being tanked. He's the one doing all the damage for you as you guys are holding the Badlands last. Your Delman usually sticking on point, and he's only going to occasionally be shooting pipes into the upper lobby area there. So pretty much this is your pocket area's point. You want to be taking your pocket, make sure he's a nice and healthy guy. And yeah, honestly that is really it. You play back on the staircase, they have a sniper. If they don't have a sniper, actually wait, there's more. If they have Uber at, you're going to be playing in the spawn really. You don't want to play forward. You can tank your pyro for a little bit, but the moment your pyro falls below, I would say around the 130 health, you would want to back up into spawn and just ditch your pyro. It's actually a pretty good idea to shoot arrows at your pyro when this is happening, because, well, honestly, like, it's really easy to hit an arrow on a pyro if they're trying to air blast an Uber up here, and yeah, and there's no reason not to anyway. But yeah, you want to back into spawn there when that happens. You can't really commit half-assedly when they have an Uber out. You're pretty much cut out in spawn, and then when that happens, you're going to rotate into the left side here. I can't do the jump right now for some reason. I promise I can usually do it, but yeah, usually you're going to come to the left side here through the left spawn when they have Uber, and you're going to end up tanking your Delman, who should now be in the top left, or your soldier, who is now on the top left. And that's the best the Med can do when they're at an Uber disaster situation. Oh, just can't do the jump, I apologize. What else is next? So yeah, now that we covered Uber disad and even Uber, now we're talking about Uber advantage, or when you're pushing out. Pushing out is actually relatively simple. For medic, it's just complicated as a team, but your role as a medic during these pushouts isn't very hard at all. Generally, your team is going to be going out through bats, or they're going to be going out through trash. When you're going out through bats, make sure you're only going out through bats when they don't have a sniper. Because if you have a sniper, you can't drop down from bats. You can pretty much get a headshot from almost anywhere as a medic when you're going out through bats. So your ideal maneuver here would be going through trash. If you're going through bats, make sure there's no sniper, and you're going to be doing this. Walk out through bats, there's no sniper, tank people through up here, And this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be taking people or capping the spire from on top of bats. This is really useful. Makes the people on that spire, die. Makes them more eager to actually capture the point. And capturing a balanced spire is a very difficult task. To be able to capture it while being tanked is very, very useful. And then after you cap it, you'll just be dropping down on top of the spire, and that is useful. Now we are going through trash. You don't really have to bait for anything when you're going through trash. Just make sure there's nothing on gray or nothing on bats. Hopefully, keep in mind, make sure there's people on top of bats watching out for it. Because when you're pushing out a balanced spire, the thing that makes it so hard is that you're going to be watching for a million different exits. So make sure your teammates are watching for the drop down and the shenanigans like that. So you're coming into trash, look around, keep your camera like this. I recommend doing this. You're going to be doing this by default most of the time anyway, but pay a lot of attention to what's here in diag, that little area that you can see, and pay attention to what is on top of bats. You can usually see someone stacking on top of you for bats, or someone's going into drop down through diag, and you can usually call that. If you call someone's going to drop down through diag, you can easily just easily have a teammate go into the forward spawn and easily handle them trying to cap last. It's really useful. Again, if they happen to go diag to bats, they'll just easily have a soldier jump on top of bats and take care of the person trying to run at you or anyone else on your team. And we are teams capping spire. You don't have to worry about climbing it here. I would say the best, sometimes I end up climbing like this. Going around this way, especially if they don't have a sniper, is pretty good. They have a Yeah, if you don't have a sniper, I would say going this way is ideal, just because it's, well, going the not left way is faster to getting towards choke, and I think it's much harder to get bombed when you're trying to climb the spire there. I really like climbing the spire as I'm pushing out onto Badlands. Another thing is that, remember, if they do have a sniper, wait for the shot, and then rotate over here. But only do this if your team has momentum and you know the sniper's a choke. Sometimes the snipers will be in patio. The sniper's patio, you don't want to come all the way, you only want to go this far. And the sniper's in patio, well, you're not going to have the easiest time of rotating through here. Just make sure sniper takes a shot, run across, and then yeah, that's pretty much what you gotta do. Just be sure to pay attention for when the sniper shoots, or wait for that sound from the sniper to go off, so you have an easier time of when to rotate, or need your, I don't know, something to indicate when you have to rotate. That's how I describe it. Now, when it comes to drop down, I never really often push through drop down with my team. I've done it very rarely, but some teams may do it more consistently than I do. And the best I can advise is just hug this right wall and put it underneath the point. Don't try to commit underneath the point, because someone's sacking, you're pretty much screwed. But this is what I've always done. I went underneath the point, and then I really got up on the right side. The reason I go underneath the point is just because it's really hard for me to get spammed underneath the point for a couple seconds. And it's also kind of hard to get bombed there too. I just said it's easy to die there. But if you're only here for a second and then you hear someone bombs, you usually rotate out to the left side, and that bomb is pretty useless depending on where they're coming from. Just make sure not to commit too hard underneath the bridge. The only time you should do that is when they have sniper, and even then you want to be playing right here. The sniper is not gonna really hit you with a headshot here, again, unless they're on patio, but I highly doubt they'll be on patio if you're coming through in that entrance. But yeah, that's the best way I can describe pushing out Balanced Spire. Pushing into Balanced Spire. The bad thing that comes with Balanced Spire is mostly are all the entrances that your team has to watch. That makes it pretty difficult. But other than that, for Meg, you have a relatively simple job of Balanced Spire. Yeah, that's all I can really say about Badlands. Thank you guys for watching my updated version of the Medic Badlands map guide. I really hope you guys do like it. I do apologize for the stuttering and mumbling that was going on. It is a habit I am working very hard on. I really do apologize. It would be way easier if I could make a script during the actual map review itself, but I really can't, or the videos take way too long to make. The only reason why this video was delayed so hard was just because I forgot. I completely forgot to do the map reviews. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try my best to actually release them weekly now until the end of the ECA season, and unfortunately there's only like 2 weeks left until playoffs, so there won't be really that much coming. I'm so sorry for forgetting, but hopefully I'll be able to get all the maps done in the near future. And I thank you guys again for watching. Hope you guys have good luck during Balance Week, and good luck on Balance if you play it, because this map, it's hell. Goodbye.